Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news, and we've got lots to talk about. Some positive news about Ralf Rangnick and his consultancy role. Some positive news about Cristiano Ronaldo and his statement basically that he will be a Manchester United player next season, and a huge hint that he'll be a Manchester United player next season. But most importantly, and the story we're going to start off with, is around Erik ten Hag, and the huge transfer budget he has to spend this summer. Now, I'm not going to talk about Liverpool. The quadruple is still on. And if they win a quadruple, 2 of those trophies will be won by penalty bloody shootouts. But we're not going to worry about that because Man City are going to do us a double favour tomorrow. They're going to win again. I mean, look, I'm doing a watch-along for Man City West Ham tomorrow on That's Football. It's probably our game of the season, and we're not even playing in it because Man City need to win to stop Liverpool getting close to a quadruple, and they need to win to stop West Ham taking us out of Europa League spot. So tomorrow, for the first time ever, I'm probably supporting City. So there we go. Right, let's fly straight into this. So this is, the story was going to be about Ronaldo. We'll talk about that in a minute because Ronaldo is staying, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But Andrew says £170 million ain't enough. Well, look, this is coming from United Stand at United Stand MUFC Twitter. Make sure you're following it throughout the summer. Great updates on there around everything to do with Manchester United, stories, etc. So Jonathan Northcroft, if you remember him, you might remember him from Sunday Supplement on Sky when they used to have the journalist show on a Sunday morning. So he is the chief writer, sports writer for Football Writer, in fact, for the Sunday Times, which is a very credible outlet, a very old outlet in relation to the UK. So he is saying this: Ten Hag has a budget of 120 million plus money raised from sales to spend on rebuilding Manchester United squad, and also wants to strengthen at centre half and in the forward line. Give me a high five. Because we've been talking about this for quite a while. Now he's got a few updates and he does talk about Ralf Rangnick, but let's talk about that again. Simply put, this means this: Manchester United have got around £120 million to spend outright. Well done. The price is right. Come on down. That's what the Glazers have given him. We spoke about this about 2 or 3 weeks ago. What's the budget for Manchester United? And I said the budget is somewhere between 100 and 150 million. So let's say 125 million. But then the rest of the budget is based on sales. This is a very clever thing for Richard Arnold and the club to say to Erik ten Hag. And this will have been said in the meeting. You have got 120 million quid. If you want to spend 120 million quid, go away. Enjoy yourself. Fill your boots. If you want to spend more than that, clear some of these players away. So the incentive for Erik ten Hag is that United can't do everything. United can't walk into the squad and say, they can't do it for a number of reasons, but they can't say to Erik ten Hag, you've actually got 170 million quid because we're going to sell Bruno. Like that, they can't stick their nose in that. So I like what United have done here. Your budget is 120 million, but you can push that budget up by removing players from the squad that you don't want here. But I'm telling you now, some of them are worth more than others. Welcome to the Members Club, Sam Neil. So basically, what we've always predicted is that the Man United budget is somewhere between 100 and 150 million. Jonathan Northcroft is saying it's 125 million. I can live with that. But basically, it's 170 million because what's 125 plus 45? It's 170. And United should easily be able to clear 45 million. So base budget of 125, made up to 170 by sales. And those sales, look, I don't want to over-egg it, but the reality is we could push that to 200 million. And people will go, we're never going to spend 200 million. We've never spent 200 million. But you're not listening. Our budget will be around 125 million. I agree with that story. I've heard it from numerous people. Rob Dawson was on about it on the show with Beth this week. We were on about it a couple of weeks ago. Romano has spoken about it as well. You could predict it's going to be 125 million because it tends to be around that when we're not in the Europa League. Ollie got 145. Mourinho got a certain amount. But 125 million straight, there's your money. But generate the rest off sales. And when I think about the sales, when I think about the structure, when I think about Man United, I'm thinking Martial, 30 million. I'm thinking Henderson, another 30 million. So, no, I think Martial and Henderson bring you in 50 million, at least. 50 million onto 125 is 170. So I'm thinking United are going to spend £170 million this summer. Elliot, thank you for being a member for 10 months. And when you look at the scale of the rebuild, how does a club as big as ours even budget? I'd be asking, why is it 120 million? Why is there a limit? Because Jim Jan, at the end of the day, you cannot rebuild this club in 125 plus 45 is 170, not 165. Justin, I don't know what you're doing at Justin's house, but I never said 125 plus 45 was 165. I've never mentioned 165. You need to clean your ears out. I've never said that. I said 170. So, you know, stop ruining the flow of the show, Justin. You're ruining it for everyone. But on a serious, I think that what Jim Jam says is absolutely correct, but is wrong, because we're not. You're almost talking like, let's solve this problem in one summer. We can't solve this problem in one summer. I'll guarantee you now, if Richard Arnold or Manchester United could speak to the fans, and they wouldn't want to because they'd be scared of what would be said, but I guarantee in the corridors of power at Manchester United at the moment, they're really hoping for your patience, because they don't want the expectations to be that next season we're going to hit the ground running and challenge for the title. I don't think anybody in Manchester United is expecting that. And they really want you not to expect that. But they can't demand that of you. After 9 years of failure, they know they can't go, let's have a bit of patience. I think naturally we have to have that patience, because logically, look at what Klopp's done. Look at what Arteta's done. It's taken them 2 years to get anywhere near being competitive. And I think that same thing's going to happen with United. You cannot have a playing squad as useless as ours and then expect it to challenge for something like a title next year just because you buy 4 or 5 players. That's not going to happen. This is going to be, for me, 4 or 5 players this summer, 4 or 5 players next summer, and then maybe next season we start looking at real progress. Beyond the season after next. Next season for me is, let's spend this money well in the summer. And 175 million, I put it out this afternoon, I was saying, there's loads of combinations, but realistically, a good midfielder, a good centre-back, a good striker, and maybe another midfielder, maybe a right-back. 4 good signings I think you can get with that. Do you think United are aiming to be successful for when Klopp and Pep leave, says Abhishek? No, I don't think you can live like that. You can't live your life like that, Abhishek. You've got to focus on you, being the best you can be. There's no point in me looking at my neighbour and going, oh, look at him, he's got a nice car and a nice suit and nice hair, and then I walk out and I'm bald. I can't do anything about it. But I can have a nice car. I can still be handsome. Bruce Willis, a lot of people liked him. It's not all about looks anyway. I can be a better me. And I think United just need to focus on themselves. Don't be looking at Pep. Don't be looking at Klopp. Focus on ourselves and be the best we can be. Because if Manchester United is the best it can be, we'll win titles. We know that. And that's what we need to focus on. So look, encouraging verification of basically where we're at. £170 million is adequate for season 1. Exactly, Graham. I agree with you. Would it make sense for United to sell a more valuable asset like Bruno or Rashford to get more players in? You know what, Stephen? It won't happen. I don't care if we sell Bruno, Rashford. I'm not bothered. I'm really not. I don't think it will happen, and I do want them both to stay. But, and I don't know who else feels like this, as a United fan this season, unless it's Ronaldo or De Gea, there's no player I'd go, please don't sell them, because I don't think anybody has passed the test. The test of being a Manchester United player. I think Bruno's let us down this year, Rashford's let us down this year, Luke Shaw's let us down this year, and these are players I really like. So I wouldn't be bothered if we did. I said it a few weeks ago, I think there needs to be a sacrificial lamb where you sell a player. And look, if I was Eric Ten Hag, I'd be saying to the board, can I sell a big player? And if they say do what you like, I'd say, right, okay, let's do it. Because it would send a massive message. It would be like, he ain't taking any prisoners. He isn't. And the first thing you want to do is shit people up. And basically, imagine if he walked in and he put Bruno on the transfer list. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't advise it. But, I mean, maybe Bruno's a bad example. A player that you can get rid of that sends a big statement but also isn't damaging to you. I mean, look, Luke Shaw. I would never do it. But if you put Luke Shaw on the transfer list and sell him, people would go, I'm surprised about that. Only a year ago, he was one of the best left-backs in Europe, and he's got rid of him. It sends a big statement that nobody's safe. I wouldn't sell Luke Shaw, by the way. I mean, there's better examples. I mean, I suppose Rashford's the prime one, but we're always talking about Rashford, and I do like Rashford as well. £100 million on De Jong and Phillips, and you're left with maybe 50 to 70 million on a striker and a centre-back, and maybe some free agents could be a good summer, says Sean Turner. I hope the lowering of expectations isn't setting a new bar at the club and is seen as temporary. I get and think it's needed, but it can't last. Jim, you are making good points tonight. Azza, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much for joining and supporting the channel. Make sure to check out the exclusive videos we've got. Any truth in Koulibaly's agent offering him to us could be a great economical buyer. Look, sacking, I don't think anything is impossible. I mean, I thought De Jong was impossible and then suddenly it's possible. So I'm not going to sit here and say we're not signing Koulibaly, but I don't think we're signing Koulibaly, to be honest with you. Have you seen the leaked United jerseys for next season? Is it legit? Sasuradip? Mate, I have seen them because they were leaked by the United Stand. Like, they are watermarked by United Stand. So we were the people who put them out there. We didn't get them. We were given them. And I love the white kit. So if you want to check out United Stand MUFC on Twitter. And I have seen the leaked kits because we were the ones who put it out there. So everyone who's putting it out now and putting all their articles out there, they're using the images that we put out. But I want to go back to Jim Jam, and I want to say that I like what he's saying. I really do like what you're saying. It's something I was saying a couple of years ago. We cannot let the lowering of the standards happen. And, you know, I remember doing that famous, well, it wasn't famous, but I remember going like this: no, you're not. Stop lowering the expectations, the Glazers. No. And look, I think they did. And I think we now sit like this with them expectations part of the norm. And Jim Jam's right, we need to uphold those expectations. We certainly do. However, you also need to be realistic to the situation that Erik ten Hag is inheriting, and I think that's the important thing, Jim Jam. Imagine you coming in as Man United manager. You've got to come in with realism. You've played no part in the last 9 years. You've played no part in the last 9 months. So Erik ten Hag isn't lowering the expectations. He's being a realist, and he's saying, look, he's got to come into the club and say the right things, and he will. He'll come in and say, look, this is a great football club. It should be winning titles. The fans deserve better. As fans, we don't lose sight of the expectations. I expect Man United to fight for titles every year. We're not going to do it, but I expect it. Erik ten Hag has got to be given the freedom to be realistic, to say, yes, this club should be fighting for titles, but the reality of the situation is that we're miles away, and it's my job to get us back there. And I will get you back there, but I need you on board, and don't expect it next season. It's as simple as that. Will ten Hag be backed in January, says William. Well, let's get through the summer first, William. I think that's the most important thing. So lots of positives there. And as I said, there was more from Jonathan Northcroft as well. He said, Erik ten Hag is already conscious of the need for a revamp at Manchester United, and is working to identify transfer targets. High on his wish list is Barcelona's Frankie de Jong. But he also goes on to say that Rangnick's wish is that the consultancy role he's agreed to take up at United becomes a meaningful one. He's already in contact with ten Hag through a mutual friend and hopes to forge a strong relationship with the incoming boss. Ralf Rangnick hopes to give Erik ten Hag a thorough handover briefing when Man United's disastrous season is over, and is keen to play a full part in helping the Dutchman reshape the club. So that is very interesting that Ralf Rangnick, and I think it's very clear that Ralf Rangnick wants to be involved and wants to build on the consultancy role with Erik ten Hag, and is clean. You know, the fact that he's already in contact with ten Hag through a mutual friend and hopes to forge a strong relationship with the incoming boss. I have got no issue with Darren Fletcher, John Murtagh, or anybody else at Manchester United, as long as they embrace the experience that is required. Erik ten Hag cannot work with Murtagh and have success, because Erik ten Hag has never worked in the Premier League before, and there's big question marks over Murtagh, no matter how willing he is and how good it seems he's doing over the last few months. You've got to have the triangle. I think Erik ten Hag, Murtagh, Rangnick, and that triangle works together for however long, to a point where if Rangnick does go, Murtagh and ten Hag have by that point got the experience, and I think that's what most fans want to see. So I really hope that we utilise Rangnick, and I'm encouraged by that, because this morning on this morning show, it was an opinion, but it felt like the media's against Rangnick, the players are against Rangnick, and they're almost trying to force him out. I sense Murtagh respects Rangnick, and I think this is going to be the most important thing. And if Ralf Rangnick ends up staying at this club, then my support for Murtagh is going to keep growing, because it is growing. I've always been very dubious about his talent, and I still am. I think you have to be. We've had a disastrous season, and we're dealing in speculation. We didn't get a centre midfielder last year. We're dealing in speculation. But I do feel, from what I hear and people I talk to, that Murtagh really respects Rangnick. We're going to find out how much, because if Rangnick's eager to stay at United, And Murta can learn a lot from him. And I think they need to keep that going. So let's hope it does. That's a bit of positive news. Expectations in long term should be limitless. But we have to be humble in the short term, says Michael Neal. As an outsider, the standards have been dropped massively at both United and Arsenal. We're never getting the days back where we was both challenging for the title. Our owners are similar, no ambition. I certainly think, Nathan, you're right. I don't think it's impossible for Manchester United and Arsenal to get back. I do sense, for some reason, that we've got a bigger chance of getting back than you. And I don't know why, because you're better than us and you're going to be in the Champions League. But I still feel that Arteta is somewhat hamstrung at Arsenal. It feels like he's doing it. It feels like United still will spend more money than Arsenal. I suppose that's what it comes down to. But we'll have to wait and see. I just want to know where there is a long-term strategy being implemented this time. And I'd be curious to know what it is. We haven't had one for years, says Jim Jam. Well, I think that you will get strategy. But all we've really had at the moment is press strategy. Everything's been, apart from a holding statement saying that Ten Hag's the manager and we respect Ajax, we've not really had anything from the club. Everything's been through the media. I think as soon as we start to get that Eric Ten Hag interview and regular interviews, we'll start to get more strategy about what it is. But I do agree with you, yeah, and I think that will naturally come. Would you be happy with Nunez, De Jong and Pau Torres? Because it's roughly that budget. Phil Jones, it's not for me to be unhappy or happy with it. I mean, I can tell you that if we only bought 3 players and it was Torres, De Jong and Darwin Nunez, I think we need 5. And I'm not going to move away from that. But I agree with you that Torres, Nunez and De Jong, that's going to use your budget up. And they're 3 very good signings. It comes down to whether that's enough. Is it enough? I personally would like to add a Phillips or a Lema into the midfield, and I think that would make it really good. And to do that, you could not get Torres and get Timber because it'd be slightly cheaper. So, you know, I can't see... You see, Steve Elton says De Ligt. I can't see how De Ligt happens. I really can't see how it happens. Spec says, I saw you on TalkSport yesterday. Great show. Thank you, mate. And Ericsson and Kamara for free. You know what, Johan? Maybe a day's going to come when Kamara is a player that United are looking at. But I think Kamara is a name that's being mentioned because he is free. And what I can tell you is what was said in January and subsequent weeks as well. We were offered Kamara in January. And we said no. I can't see us going back in. I can't. In my mind, Kamara doesn't factor. I know you can mention it. He's free. But Kamara is not on the register for me in relation to a Manchester United signing. I think we're 75% chance of getting De Jong. I think with Kamara, at most 20%. I really think there's a low chance of us signing him. If Murta respects Rangnick, why no January signings is toxic? Well, that's not up. Hey, you know what? In January, Ed Woodward was still the CEO. The Glazers have got the purse strings. Maybe Murta was overruled. You don't know that. Is having a Mitchell, Ten Hag, Rangnick triumph out of the question at this point? Says Stephen. You know, you raise a great point about Mitchell, Paul Mitchell, as a director of football. He is still a name that is floating around good sources. You know, it has gone a bit cold recently, but it is still a name that's being mentioned. And, I mean, if we do that deal, it's great. But you've got to be wary of Chelsea with that as well. I'd rather Nkunku, Timber and Tchouameni, more dynamic and suitable for what we require. I mean, I'd love to get Tchouameni, Ranbir, but we're not looking at Tchouameni. We're looking at Tchouameni as fans. The club have never been looking at Tchouameni. Even last summer we weren't looking at him. So until we look at him, I can't see it. I think he'll end up going to Liverpool or Real Madrid. Why do United never do a swap deal? I think they could be very useful. Well, we have done swap deals, Matt. We did Sanchez and Mkhitaryan, didn't we? It seems like we can only buy 3 decent players. We need at least 7 and also some free agents, says William Turner. And Chris has been a member for 9 months. He says, well done on your presenting on TalkSport. Showed off your talent. Who would be your 5 players we need considering our budget? Well, I'm actually going to do a video this week about it. So I'm currently working on it at the moment. But at the top of my head, if I had 5 players I could get, I'd have to work. I mean, in my mind, we're all going to play this game. I am going to work to the budget of 175. And I'll explain how I get to 175. It's 125 plus the sales of Henderson and Martial, which I think will actually bring us about 180. So 175 million. How do you spend that? There's numerous ways to spend it, but that's how I'll be figuring mine out, and there are cheaper options out there. There are cheaper options. There's very expensive options. You can use that 175 on 2.5 players. Obviously, you're not going to get the half, are you? Or you could get 5 or 6 players. Hendo, Martial, Telles, Bissaka, Andreas, Bailly, around 90 million. Adding the rest, 120 million. Budget can be 200 million, says Kizele. Yeah, well, yeah. There are other players to get rid of, I agree. Bailey will go. I don't know how much we'll get for him. Maybe 10, maybe 15. Welcome to the Members Club, Jake Pierce. If you want to join the Members Club, click the join button. You get your badge next to your name, like White Owl and Sally Devil Red 7 and Matt Hunt there as well. But you also get exclusive extra content where we dive deeply into transfer targets, comparisons, and check out that exclusive content. Thanks for supporting the channel. So we've spoken about this latest update. There is another story I wanted to bring you before I talk about Ronaldo. So this is coming from Rob Draper, who is the chief writer for the Mail on Sunday. It is understood that Frankie de Jong wasn't discussed extensively at Thursday's Amsterdam Summit meeting. However, Murta and Ten Hag are discussing their summer plans and attempting to advance them prior to his arrival. So there you go. I'd mentioned that this morning, this meeting on Thursday in Amsterdam that Murta attended. Apparently McLaren was there. I think Fletcher was there. Ten Hag was there. Van der Gaag was there. Apparently it wasn't a transfer meeting. It was a general structure meeting of going forward. And he also goes on to say that Erik Ten Hag is pushing for transfer targets to be finalised over the next 2 weeks and decisions taken on which players are to be sold and which will stay so that the club can approach the summer transfer market well prepared. I think this is really important. So this is not about signing players in the next 2 weeks. It's about finalising that list. So if it's Torres, Timber and Akanji on the list for centre-back, we know we want Timber, and if we don't get him, this is the second option. Same in the midfield. If we want De Jong and we don't get him, are we going for Neves? Are we going for De Jong and Phillips? If we don't get him, are we going for Lema? What are we doing? And I think that is absolutely essential that United sort that out over the next 2 weeks, but also sort out who's going out the door over the next 2 weeks. I think that the problem you might have is that Ten Hag might go, you know what? I mean, I said let's sell Henderson and Martial. It's very obvious to me that you do that. Eric Bailly as well. But Ten Hag might go, you know what? I wouldn't mind having a chat and a closer look at Anthony Martial. In which case, you're going to have to wait until July to do that. Can you afford to do that? Or does somebody like a Murta or a Fletcher or a Rangnick say, look, Eric, I know you want to take a close look at him, but trust me, he wants to go. He doesn't want to be here. And ultimately, he's been here for 4 or 5 years and it's been very up and down. And as part of this new build, it's not worth waiting on a player that we can move on and just start with somebody fresh. So maybe those sort of conversations need to be had. But on the other hand, if Erik Ten Hag is insistent that he wants to wait, you've got to do that because he is the manager. Rangnick is understood to be keen to play a full role as a consultant at Man United and accepted the Austria job partly as it doesn't have the same demands as day-to-day club management and would allow him to be a meaningful presence at United. That's from Rob Draper as well. Rangnick's been in contact with Ten Hag via an intermediary, Lars Konetka. As such, there is the chance that Ten Hag will get the full lowdown on what has been a disastrous season at Manchester United, with dressing room politics understood to have been contributed. Rangnick is keen to meet Erik Ten Hag and deliver a full debrief of the problems he's encountered at Manchester United in a bid to help his successor navigate the politics at the club, but has received no indication from the club that such a meeting will happen. So that's from Rob Draper. Now the reason he is, as I said, Rob Draper is Daily Mail, the Mail on Sunday. We've got Jonathan Norcroft, who's the Sunday Times. These are 2 different journalists in 2 different outlets who are basically replicating the same story. So they've been briefed about the same story. Now this morning, I felt The Athletic had been briefed by a player. That, to me, looks like that's a brief from management. So, look, what you can take from that is that Ralf Rangnick wants to stay and be a big part of the future, and he wants to meet with Ten Hag and go through things with him, but he doesn't know whether he's going to get that opportunity to do it, which leads you back into the question mark of uncertainty again. Are they going to move Ralf Rangnick on and not allow him to do a handover to Ten Hag because they want him out the club, which for me is player power winning again? Or is Ralf Rangnick going to get to speak to Erik Ten Hag about the handover? Now, I don't care what job you're doing. I don't care whether you're flipping burgers at McDonald's, whether you're painting a fence and you've got to go off sick or whatever. A handover is absolutely vital when you're taking on a job that somebody else was doing, because they can give you tips, they can give you pitfalls, the lot. That has to happen. Rangnick and Ten Hag have to sit down together. It would be bloody stupid if it doesn't. Welcome to the Members Club, Jake. Welcome to the Members Club, Johan. Mark, McLaren is going to be a dreadful appointment. He said we should buy a centre-back to play with Maguire, so be prepared for another disastrous season, says Ty. And Lewis, welcome to the Members Club. Look, would you rather De Jong or Tchouaméni, says Phil Jones? Good question. I'd probably go Tchouaméni if I'm honest. Although De Jong is definitely higher bar at the moment. The McLaren thing's really interesting. He is not being forced on Erik Ten Hag. Erik Ten Hag wants McLaren. So therefore, you must give Erik Ten Hag what he wants. Is it a bad judgment call? Maybe. Do you have to back your manager? Yes. Am I completely happy with McLaren? Look, I've seen some of his comments. And they're not great. I mean, I think it was an England game, wasn't it? And we were drawing. We weren't playing very well. And he was saying England are fine and we lost. So look, judgment. But we're all full of bad takes. The reality is, I think it's a test. It's a test for you as a fan. A lot of United fans don't want Steve McLaren, but Erik Ten Hag does. A lot of United fans are saying, I'm going to back Erik Ten Hag, but on the first thing, you're failing. Oh, I don't want McLaren. He's rubbish. He's going to pick Maguire. He's going to pick Shaw. He's going to want this, that and the other. But you've been saying you're going to back a manager and you're falling at the first hurdle. Erik Ten Hag wants McLaren. Whatever I think about McLaren, whatever you think about McLaren, it's not really an issue for me because I'm sort of lost on this whole we've got to back the manager. And I know he's going to make decisions I don't agree with. And if I don't agree with those decisions and he ends up getting the sack, it's on him. But I'm going to give him everything I can until we get to the point where it's clearly the wrong. But at the moment, it's not. We've not done anything under Ten Hag. I can't judge Steve McLaren when we've not kicked a ball under him. So, patience is key. How can we never go near loan deals? Is that something we look down upon, says Prittam? I think loan deals are very difficult to do, Prittam, because we're Manchester United. And, who are we going to loan in? If I'm Man United and I'm Erik Ten Hag, I'm never going to get to loan Mbappe or Haaland. I'm never going to get to loan Declan Rice, who's a young up-and-coming player. If Southampton have got a really good up-and-coming player, they're not going to loan him to me either because they want to keep him. It's difficult to find a loan deal that's going to work for United because loan deals tend to be players that people are happy to give you, which at United people aren't going to be happy to give as a player, or they're happy to give you them because they don't want them and they don't think they're very good, which therefore is a risk. So I think we're right to avoid loan players, really. Are you still confident on De Jong? Hope we get him, says Thomas. I mean, look, the way I take a very pragmatic approach on transfers. I try not to swing from it's happening to it's not happening to it's happening. I think about the Sancho deal a couple of years ago when it didn't happen. And I stayed on 90% because there was nothing really to make me change my mind. And then it didn't happen. Frankie de Jong may not happen to United, but nothing's changed for me over the last 24 hours from when I said I'm 75% sure to now. I still think, I still think there's something in this deal. I think there's something advanced in this deal. I think we've got to persuade De Jong. If I'm 75% sure we're going to sign him, the 25% is because I think we've got to persuade De Jong. I mean, look at the Xavi comments today. He basically accepts that the financial situation is that they've got to sell players to buy. De Jong's one of their biggest assets. So I think Barcelona want to sell. I think Xavi's realistic. Obviously regretful, but realistic. United want to buy. The 25% is whether De Jong can be persuaded to come to United. So at this moment in time, I'm still 75% because there's nothing to the contrary. I mean, if a statement comes out from Frankie de Jong that he's not leaving Barcelona, then you take that, and 75% isn't 75% anymore. But I think the way I do it is it's today I'm 75% sure. If next week he doesn't come and people go, "Wow, you said 75%." Yeah, I did a week ago. Based on basically what I'm saying is I assess it on the information we have right now, and on the information we've got right now, I'm 75% sure he's going to sign. But tomorrow something might change. But right now I'm still the same on that one. Malivia is only 20%, and Marcus says I'm only 25%. Well, there you go. Glass half empty, glass half full. That's absolutely fine. But to feed into a positive, this was going to be the main story I was going to talk about tonight. So remember this morning I was speaking to you and I said, I've got some stuff to tell you tonight about Ronaldo. I just need to find out whether I can put it out there. So Joan Barry, thank you very much and welcome to the Members Club. So this morning we got these pictures sent to us from a source of United's new kits for next season. Now I've seen these for years and years and I don't know where people get them from, but you get a picture of the United top and then when the United kit comes out, it's sometimes a little bit like the leak, sometimes it's nothing like it. So we got these pictures of, they're very blurry. They're on the United Stand MUFC on Twitter. Go and check them out. I love the white kit. They are a bit blurry, which to me adds to the authenticity because if they were crystal clear, it's obvious. I just think somebody's quickly grabbed a picture of them and sent them to us. And ultimately, I think that the United players are in these tops, and there's numerous ones of them. You can check them out on the website, theunitedstand.com as well. So we're wearing a red kit next season with a collar. The white kit is the away kit. Love it, absolutely love it. And we've got a sort of lime green third kit. I've got to say I'm not big on that one, but the white kit and the red kit look really nice. And if people are into that sort of thing, check it out. They were blurry, yes, they were blurry, but they're definitely the players in them tops, and I think they will probably very much likely be the kits that we're going to wear next season. So if you want to check them out unitedstand.com or on our Twitter account, UnitedStandMUFC, which has just gone below me down there. But having seen these pictures this morning, which was just before I went live, the thing I was going to tell you tonight is that Cristiano Ronaldo is definitely staying at Manchester United. Now, I've always been 90% sure that he's staying at United. I'm 99% sure he's staying at United, which is massive because he's in every one of those kits. Now, of course, I remember Schweinsteiger wearing the new Bayern Munich kit and he came to us. Things can change at the very last minute. But Ronaldo yesterday was speaking positively about winning trophies with Erik ten Hag. We've got these pictures of him in the new kits today. He's part of Man United's plan next season. And that to me is really important because when we're talking about transfers and how much we're going to spend, we know we need midfielders, we know we need another forward, and we know we need a centre-back. And we do need a full-back. But if you take Ronaldo out of that team, we need two forwards. Ronaldo staying is massively important for stability. I mean, he's a go to the game, he's got the right mentality, and he's a leader. Him staying just means we haven't created another big problem. So I'm really happy he's staying. I think he's a massively important player for us. And I think that's really is super news around Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, what I would say is 99% isn't 100%. Something ridiculously weird could happen. But I think from United, they want Ronaldo. From Ronaldo, he's committed to staying. And most importantly of all, Ronaldo was a massive conversation with Ten Hag when he was interviewed. And in essence, the conversation that Ten Hag had with Man United was basically, of course I want Cristiano Ronaldo. Whether it's for a year or 2 years, of course I want Cristiano Ronaldo. Of course I can use Cristiano Ronaldo. And Ronaldo knows that, and United are happy with that, and Ten Hag's happy with that. Because that was a big part of it. Pochettino was asked about it. Ten Hag was asked about it. United have made a big commitment to Ronaldo for 2 years. Massive money. Ronaldo shirts, again, in these new kits, they're going to sell like they did last year. Ronaldo is a massive part of Manchester United on that 2-year contract. So when they're interviewing a manager halfway through, what they're going to do with Ronaldo is very important. But as it was with Pochettino, both Pochettino and Ten Hag fundamentally, absolutely, were pro keeping Ronaldo. So Ronaldo's wanted, the club want him, the manager wants him. So there's no reason for it to change. If somebody come in and goes, we've got Champions League football, we'll give you 15 million and we'll pay you 600 grand a week, there's a conversation to be had. But I don't see anybody doing that. The only club I ever thought would do that was PSG. So the stability of having Ronaldo next season is really important. As I said, you can see him in the new kits, and also he's got a World Cup next year as well. So stability leading up to the World Cup is good for him, it's good for his family, it's good for his career. So it's good news, because I think that there has been that up and down. I said it all season. If we're not in the Champions League, we'll lose Ronaldo. And I think we're very fortunate to be able to keep him. But yeah, it's a positive. It's a positive, definitely. Mark, is a wide player like Anthony a player to feed Ronaldo? Carl, I think Anthony is a really, really interesting player. And he's a player that I wouldn't mind bringing into Manchester United. But I think also there's going to be a lot of competition for Anthony. Now, look, we've been so bad in the transfer window over the last, 6 years, 9 years? And very rarely have we got the... I look at Bayern Munich and I look at Juventus and I look at Barcelona and I look at Real Madrid. They're big clubs anyway, but they also manage to do these deals like, Kessie on a free at Barcelona, or Bayern Munich picking up Gravenberg, and cheap. They buy players cheap that are brilliant. United never really do that, and I really would like this summer for us to benefit from Rangnick or Ten Hag or both, whereby we get a player that Rangnick knows about cheap, or we get a player from Ajax because yes, loads of people want Anthony, but Anthony likes Ten Hag and wants to come with him to United. I'd love for that to happen. It doesn't necessarily mean it will, but imagine we wanted Anthony this summer and our manager wasn't Ten Hag. We'd be competing with everybody else with him. I just hope if we do want Anthony, we get him, because we've got that connection with Ten Hag. It'd be nice to get some benefits, you know what I mean? Opinion on Dybala as a free and Delit for 60 to 70 million. I don't want Dybala, Viniak. I don't. Dimitri, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much for joining. I like Dybala. Juventus is my Italian team, and I do like Dybala, but I suppose that's probably the reason I wouldn't go for him. He's in and out, and I'm not convinced he'd suit the Premier League. And for me, he's too much of a risk for what we're trying to do. Every signing's a risk. I just think Dybala's an expensive risk that really we should probably avoid. I think you might possibly know something we don't know about De Jong. I'm not as optimistic as I was, but let's see. This is Michael Gibson. I only know what I tell you. Like, obviously, I have conversations with people off air that I don't pick up from Twitter and stuff, but that's normal when you're doing what we do. I was at TalkSport last night talking to a couple of journalists about it, and they don't necessarily know any more than you do, but what everybody will say about De Jong at the moment is the club are not denying it. And if Man United are not denying it, that means they've got a sniff of something. But that's tonight. We can only talk about where we are tonight. Fabian, welcome to the Members Club. Talking about talking about journalists, let me just tell you that Dimarzio has said that Paul Pogba's agent is in Turin this week to meet with Juventus. PSG are also in talks. However, Pogba isn't tempted by Man City. Paul Pogba's career is a weird career. He absolutely loved Juventus, and it would what a weird career it would be. I say weird, that sounds quite negative, but imagine Paul Pogba goes from Le Havre to Manchester United at 14, leaves to go to Juventus for free in his late teens, comes back from Juventus to Manchester United till he's 29, and then goes back to Juventus. There's not many careers that go like that, is it? I mean, I'm not even saying... But so you start at one club, you go to another club, you come back to the original club to go back to the original club. But there seems to be quite a bit of momentum around Juventus and Pogba. I mean, look, I've got to be honest, not massively interested. He's going to leave. I think he needs to leave. I do wish him all the best. Because I don't really have any toxicity towards Pogba as long as he goes. I think that toxicity will grow in the fan base if he stays. I think it's time to part ways. When people are saying fuck off Paul Pogba and they're your own fans, it's time to go. There's people saying please stay Pogba. There's people who love Pogba, but there are people who hate Pogba in our fan base. And hate's a horrible word, but what is hate if it's not shouting fuck off to somebody who's wearing your own shirt? So Pogba definitely needs to go. There does seem to be something about Juventus. I always felt PSG. I think Real Madrid is starting to drift away. But yeah, look, wherever Pogba goes. As long as he goes, I think that's the right decision for everybody. Luke Shaw has missed 3.5 years of the total 8 years at Man United. Why keep him? You rarely speak about his injury record because he leaks news to you, says Swarab. Mate, that's slanderous. That's pure and utter slander. That's a very dangerous thing to do, because I'm not leaked information from Luke Shaw. So, I mean, you can do it under a super chat if you want, but I refute that, and I don't like it because it's not true. And if Luke Shaw was watching, I hope he sues you, because he doesn't leak information to me. So I don't know what you're on about. As for injury record, yeah, I mean, you do raise a good point there. 3.5 years of the last 8 years. Look, I'm a fan of Luke Shaw. He's the best left back we've got by a country mile. But when he doesn't play, it's a problem. Cavani, when he's on the pitch for United, you can never, ever question his commitment. Off the pitch, his commitment's a joke. So, look, I'm on your side. We need players who can play week in, week out. The mentality in that club's not good. I like Luke Shaw. I don't like it when he's away with England, basically making it obvious that he prefers to play for England over Man United. Gary Neville, David Beckham, Nicky Butt, Ryan Giggs, Man United first. Loved playing for their country, but Man United first. I think that's flipped the other way. That's a culture problem at Manchester United, and they've got to sort it out. These players need to understand that these fans are getting on their back because they don't feel that there is a relationship there. They need to build a relationship. They need to put Manchester United first. They need to get what it's all about. The Fonz says, I fear we won't be able to cut out, negotiate United tax and clubs will overcharge us. Also, do you think Ronaldo actually believes in the rebuild? The Fonz, you talk about something we're not talking about. We're talking about the players we want to buy. But you're absolutely spot on. When we find the players we want to buy, the next test is how do we negotiate. We've not spoken about this because we don't know whether we're after De Jong, Phillips, Nunez, Timber, Torres. We're at that stage at the moment. We don't know who the targets are. When we do know who the targets are, we move to what the Fonz is talking about there. Our negotiations are shite. On average, it's 6 weeks from hitting the press to when it gets done. We spend 6 weeks negotiating a price up, it feels like. Matt Judge has gone now. Are we negotiating any better? Are we going to be worse? And that's why I said with Barcelona. Barcelona want money for De Jong, but who else is willing to pay it? I'd push that price down. Push it down. Hi Mark, don't you think the referee in England are not good enough? They don't have consistency and bias and they're known as professional refs. Adnan. Well look Adnan, I'm not going in on Liverpool here. I mean obviously I wanted Liverpool to lose today, but I saw 2 incidents today where 2 Liverpool defenders barged into Chelsea forwards in and around the box. Neither was given as a foul or a penalty. On Thursday night, Cedric barges into Son, it's a penalty. Now, all we ask for is consistency. Either they're all fouls or they're not all fouls. And I don't mind. But I'm sure Arsenal fans mind. I'm sure they're like, why did we get a penalty against us in a crucial game that could cost us Champions League football, and yet in an FA Cup final, it's not given. And the consistency in the refereeing is the thing that really annoys me. And that's not club specific. I mean, it could be Liverpool, it could be Man City tomorrow, it could be West Ham, who cares? But I call out Liverpool fans are going, oh, shut up, it was soft. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the refereeing, which I watch week in, week out in many different games, is so inconsistent. And all fans want is consistency. Because the reason we want consistency is because we want to be able to watch a football game with knowledge. You know, if you're watching a film with your missus or your family members or whatever, and they're watching a series and you watch, they're 3 or 4 episodes in, or you're watching a series and they sit down next to you and go, who's that then? Why is he hit him? Why is she trying to kill him? And you're like, well, because this happened in episode 2, this happened in episode 1. It's like watching football. When we don't get consistency of decision, we're like, well, why is he trying to do that, but he's not trying to do that? You need that consistency. It's like watching the season from season 1 to 4 and knowing what's happening. We don't know what's happening because the refereeing is so inconsistent. 1 week it's offside, then it's not. 1 it's a handball, when it's not. 1 it's not a foul, and then it's not. Cohen, thank you very much for joining the members club. So yeah, I agree with you. I think there is a real inconsistency, and it's frustrating. It is frustrating because you want to be able. We're all the same. We're watching a game of football and we want to go, that's a foul, that's a handball, and we can't because it might have been a foul on Thursday, but it's not a foul on Sunday. Inconsistency, and I don't like it. I don't like it. Anyway, look, really good show. Matt Hunt says, like the video. I've really enjoyed it. I love this. I missed the Friday night show last night. obviously because I was on TalkSport, but I like the Friday night show because it's a bit of a kickback Q&A sort of thing, which tonight's been a bit like that as well. So yeah, what's the budget? 170 million, Ricardo. 125 million plus what we make from sales. So there you go. So thanks everyone for watching. We'll be back in the morning with the news show. I'm sure there'll be a lot because it's Sunday morning and it's a big day tomorrow. I'm doing the watch along of West Ham against Man City. That game is massive for United. Like, Liverpool are on the verge of a quadruple. We need Man City to win that title. And also, we need them to not beat West Ham so they don't go above us. So, game of the season tomorrow, Man City against West Ham. I'll do a watch-along for it. But also, I will be live in the morning with some news. I have a hint of a story already that I think may well be coming out tomorrow morning. So, make sure you watch the morning show. It's not out there yet. Celtic are champions, says Cuffham. Okay, well done. Take care, everyone. Really enjoyed the show. Thanks for all your support as ever. Have a good day, evening, morning, whatever you're doing. And I'll speak to you all on the morning show tomorrow. Take care. Thanks for watching.